Hi, and welcome back to this second hour of this free-for-all Friday edition of Focal Point AFR Talk, 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. You heard Jeff Reed, engineer and producer, putting the sound bites from Ted Cruz in the tease for the second hour. Let's go right to that sound clip, the full bite, clip number 4. This is Ted Cruz talking about the attitude of the Obama administration toward the Constitution. I simply refer to Barack Obama as Barack the Lawless. He has no regard, in my judgment, practically speaking. He may say words that sound good, but he has no actual regard for the Constitution. He looks at the Constitution as something that just gets in his way. He looks at the Constitution as something that he has to work around, as something he's got to tunnel over, something he's got to climb over, something he's got to sweep out of the way. You know, you and I look at it as the safeguard of our liberties. But to him, because it is the safeguard of our liberties, it's just something that gets in his way. And listen to Ted Cruz talk about how sweeping the disdain for the Constitution is from Barack the Lawless. Let's listen.
It's unprecedented. And the degree of willingness of this administration to target a reporter for this network as an unindicted co-conspirator, I mean, that is without precedent. And unfortunately, I think it's part and parcel of a pattern from this administration of not respecting the Bill of Rights, not respecting the First Amendment, not respecting the Second Amendment, not respecting our Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights regarding drone strikes, regarding the IRS. Over and over again, the pattern we've seen is an unfortunate willingness to use the machinery of the federal government as a tool and a partisan tool to punish those perceived as your political enemies. And I think that's really troubling, particularly when combined with a willingness to dissemble and to mislead the American people.
Do you think?
And of course, he's exactly right. I mean, the First Amendment, freedom of religion, Barack Obama has no regard for that in the military, any other place. First Amendment, freedom of the press. We've seen that trashed with what he did to the Associated Press, to James Rosen of Fox News. Second Amendment, gun rights. He doesn't think people ought to even be able to own guns. So he is vigorously opposed to the Second Amendment. Fourth Amendment, unreasonable searches and seizures. We've already seen his willingness to surveil, like James Rosen, go after the records of his parents' phone records. There's no regard for the Fourth Amendment there. So Ted Cruz is exactly right. He's the guy. And Rob, I want us to drop down, if we can, to clip number 12. It's another Ted Cruz clip, and then we'll go back to the phones. Cruz in response to John McCain. You know, John McCain, he went over to Syria, and he met with leaders of the rebel opposition there who are committed to al-Qaeda. He even had his picture taken with an active known terrorist who kidnapped people. And John McCain's there smiling and chatting it up with them and having a gay old time, using gay, obviously, in the generic sense there. So just basically playing into the hands of our enemies. There is no good side over in Syria, ladies and gentlemen. We just ought to stay out of that. That's an internal matter. They need to work that out for themselves. We have no dog in that fight. There is no good side to support there. But anyway, Ted Cruz, or John McCain, is saying about Ted Cruz, he really resents Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is this young guy that just comes in, tells it like it is, stands up for the Constitution, calls McCain's bluff, calls all the hogwash and the bloviation from politicians there. Ted Cruz, like I've said, he is the man. And so John McCain just frustrated with these guys because they're challenging him. It's kind of like the young buck challenging the old bull in the herd. John McCain does not like it at all. In fact, he called Ted Cruz a wacko bird. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if Ted Cruz is a wacko bird, then everybody in this listening audience is a wacko bird. I mean, there's a lot of wacko birds out there. And Ted Cruz says in response to John McCain, there may be more wacko birds even in the Senate than John McCain thinks. Let's listen.
The senior senator from Arizona has impugned the Republicans by claiming repeatedly that it is only a minority of Republicans who are opposed to raising the debt ceiling on just 50 votes. And he has repeatedly suggested on the floor of the Senate that, in fact, it may be a small minority, that the overwhelming majority of Republicans, the senior senator from Arizona said, stand with Harry Reid in wanting to be able to raise the debt ceiling on 50 votes. Let me suggest to the senior senator from Arizona that, number one, in saying that, he is impugning all 45 Republicans in this body. But number two, it has been suggested that those of us who are fighting to defend liberty, fighting to turn around the out-of-control spending and out-of-control debt in this country, fighting to defend the Constitution, it has been suggested that we are wacko birds. Well, if that is the case, I will suggest to my friend from Arizona, there may be more wacko birds in the Senate than is suspected.
Wacko birds are us. Ted Cruz is the man. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Noel in Lafayette, Louisiana. Noel, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Yes, Brian, I appreciate you taking my call, and God bless you for you and your program.
Thank you, sir.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You just bring out words of wisdom and nuggets to stash away and sit on. I was just wanting to comment on the Boy Scouts.
Yes.
I belong to a non-denominational church here, and we have, as an organization, it's called the Wall Rangers, which is an alternative to the Boy Scouts.
Yes,
I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Yes, I'm familiar with that, yes. Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to bring that up because I've heard a lot about breaking away from the Boy Scouts and developing another type of organization. I just wanted to say that there's already one out there.
Well, that's great, Noel. Listen, I appreciate the call. In fact, Noel, we sent an action alert out encouraging people to leave the Boy Scouts, and we specifically mentioned the Royal Rangers as one of the alternatives that's out there. On our website, we've got a whole list of alternatives to the Boy Scouts that already exist, and that certainly is one of them. We commend the work that they're doing. Thanks, Noel. Appreciate that very, very much. Let's go to Mark in Tyler, Texas. We can grab Mark and bring him in. Mark, Tyler, Texas, welcome to Focal Point. What's on your mind?
Welcome, Brian Fisher. I want to tell you I really appreciate your show first, and I appreciate everything you are doing for the United States and the children and for God.
Thank you very much.
I've got two things on my mind. One is the Boy Scouts. I think just like they're doing a push to boycott the Home
Depot.
Home Depot, they should do a total push, boycott the Boy Scouts.
Well, that's good, and we've done that, Mark. We have called in an action alert. That's a good way to put it. Boycott the Boy Scouts.
And I have brought scouts tons of places. I'm a wildlife biologist. I have taught them on wildlife and forestry and spent a lot of time with the youth. And my own son, outside of the Boy Scouts, was molested by a homosexual. And for them not to stand up for sexual integrity is foolishness. But one thing each man can do, if you're a man of God, find you some children out there that you can be a man of God and an example. Bring them camping. Bring them scouting. There's a lot of single mothers out there. There's a lot of churches that will work with you and get behind these good organizations that are starting up because the knowledge is still there. We just need the integrity there.
All right, Mark. Listen, I appreciate that call very much. I'm out of time. I'm going to have to let you go, but I appreciate your call. And that, Mark, that's a good way to put it. Boycott the Boy Scouts. That's what we're calling for. Time to come out from among them and be ye separate. Focal Point AFR Talk.